it's Romy here. Thank you for tuning in to Tarot Card Review. This is the Mystical Wisdom Oracle card deck, and today I'm going to be reviewing it for you. So I'm a professional tarot reader and intuitive guide, but all of the views expressed in this video are my own, and there has not been any sponsorship of any kind. So this beautiful enchanting deck actually came out in 2016. It's published by US Games, written by Gay Guthrie, and the artist is Josephine Wall. Gay has another deck in print called the Angel Power Wisdom deck, and Josephine's work is also featured in the Whispers of Love Oracle, which is a beautiful deck, along with a series of journals and diaries. So you might like to check her work out if you are particularly drawn to these beautiful illustrations. So the deck itself arrives in this sturdy, nice box, and does feature a guidebook. We have a lovely indicative illustration on the front, giving you an idea of what to expect with this very inspiring oracle deck. On the reverse, again, some representations of the card, also showing that they are borderless, which is also something that I tend to get very drawn into as a reader. So within the box, we have a 64-page guidebook. There are 46 cards in this particular oracle deck, the Mystical Wisdom. And within the guidebook, what you will find is an overview of all of the cards, a black and white depiction, a little bit of a description, and you're also receiving a mantra or an affirmation, which is quite a nice addition, particularly if you want to use these cards for meditation or for journaling. At the back of the guidebook, there are also a series of spreads that you can use, just suggesting different questions to ask, which is very helpful. Some of the more traditional Celtic cross, as well as some different types of approaches as to how to use this deck, which is rather nice. So a very helpful guidebook to have and to refer to, although these cards I think are so rich in terms of their illustration that you're bound to be able to work with your intuition and really be able to develop your own signs and understanding and messages from them. So it's a very sturdy stock, nice and glossy, which means that the deck is very easy to shuffle, to work with. The size is 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. They are quite on the large side, which a lot of these oracle decks tend to be, so sometimes can be a little bit more challenging on the shuffling. The artwork on the back of the deck is rather beautiful, this lovely lavender featuring a gold kind of filigree design in the corners as well, and then the print of the US Games tag here. So just walking us through this deck, we begin by just acknowledging that there are these borderless features, which is so lovely to really invite you to step right into the energy of the card. And what you see at the bottom is a strip which is different coloured on each of the cards with a message pertaining to what is delivered. Now in this deck there are 3 angel guides, there are 8 animal guides, and then there are 35 additional cards which represent different messages and meanings. So here you have the dolphin guide, and you also have just a small message that goes with it. So what we can see from the illustration of this particular deck is that it's very delicate in the way that the artist has approached it. It's rich in detail, and the featuring of the goddesses, the angels, and these animal guides makes it just a very soothing, very peaceful, and I think quite a poignant deck. When I'm working with this in my readings, I love the fact that there are just so many details to draw your eye in. So in any particular reading, you might focus on so many different aspects of this, the dolphins, the water. There are so many figures here with the mermaids, what's going on with the shell, and then we also see the birds here in the bubbles. Lots of different colours and hues. There's texture and there's movement. So as a reader or somebody just appreciates the fine art, it's a beautiful deck to work with in terms of accessing your own intuition and really just getting a beautiful boost. I think this is a lovely deck to work with if you're just needing to access that more peaceful, serene, calm energy. But not only that, it is so layered, and I think that's one of the other things that I really like about this deck, because that layering effect means that you can get deeper and deeper into the cards. So you're invited even just to sit with one, and you could spend a whole meditation or some journaling time and really go into so many different aspects of this that can speak to you. So I'm just going to walk you through each of the cards now. This deck is available via US Games or Amazon and a number of different outlets. So here we have Go with the Flow, Knowledge, and you can see just, this rich detail is echoed throughout the deck. There's just so much going on, really, that I don't think if you're going to be using this deck, you actually need to pull an awful lot of cards, because you can almost obtain all of the answers within one to really deliver such depth and meaning, which means it's really beautiful if you're working with it alongside other decks as well. This is particularly beautiful, representative of new beginnings, and this lovely kind of phoenix-like bird just rising up with the fire here and this beautiful golden sun, but the river and the mountains in the background. So again, just drawing you in really beautifully. It does mean as well that when they're borderless and you do work with these cards side by side, it just means that you can link them so beautifully. So for example, here we have the rainbow just shown at the side here, and then it's continued, so even as you're picking up the messages, it's almost like this beautiful way of being able to story tell your way through the reading, which I think is really beautiful. I particularly enjoy working with decks that are featuring animal energies as well, so it's a real joy to be able to see this in this particular deck. Here we have the tiger. It's a really uplifting deck is what I will say, and definitely one that I think if you're working to strengthen your intuition or your psychic ability, is a great deck to use. If you don't want to, go deeper into sort of working with tarot, then I think oracle decks can be such a lovely way to kind of introduce yourself to using divination. I particularly love this card of enlightenment. Again, it's just because there's so much going on in these cards, right? I love what's bursting out of her third eye here, but all of the animal energies surrounding her, and this beautiful palace in the background. And there's a nod to like different cultures going on as well within this deck, which I think is really beautiful. The expressions in the figures are also very poignant. Sometimes I think they look quite sad or quite almost melancholy, but I think it's just the overall theme and vibe of the reading. It's just very soulful. Again, this beautiful, rippling, colourful energies that are surrounding it. There's just so much movement in it. If you're working very clairvoyantly, I think this is a deck that you would particularly enjoy. So here's one of the angels that's represented in the deck, Archangel Raphael, of course the master healer, coming in with this beautiful butterfly, and you're even picking up these tiny little details of the rabbits and the horses, foxes here. There's just so much to see. I think that the author has chosen a good selection of messages in the oracle deck to come through. Of course, some of them are fairly wide in terms of their theme, which means that you can really find that applicability in terms of your own life and what's going on within your experience, which is also particularly helpful. Again, with this, there's just so much to connect with here, symbolisms with childhood and the past here, but with powering forward, almost with the chariot and the full moon energy, the staircase, almost like our ascension, our evolution. Then we have this kind of field of sunflowers, peacock feathers, water. There's even a figure in the background here on a boat, and another, what actually looks like two figures in the boat here. So you can really spend some time kind of going deeply into these. Very spiritual deck, very angelic deck. I think this would be a lovely deck to use if you were just wanting to pull like a card a day as well. It's just going to give you much to kind of consider. And I love this kind of it's almost like the Russian doll, isn't it? It's like a sort of a moon, like a globe here within a globe within a globe. Just talking about the layering aspect of things, and yet, you know, the message is about opportunity knocks and going for it, but you can just interpret this in so many different ways. Here's the second angel card, the Angel of Miracles. I love the lightness of the energy of this deck. Even when we're looking at challenge, you know, it's just still presented in such a positive way that I think it's going to be a particularly helpful energy for you to use if you are trying to navigate your way through more challenging times, because it's always going to give you the upside. It's always going to give you something to hold on to. It's going to show you where the light is set to stream in. I mean, look at the difference here, just even in the, you know, the kind of way we're looking at this culturally. I mean, this kind of almost reminds me of sort of an old London kind of feel. And then here we have this like beautiful kind of palace and almost feeling quite Indian. It's like, I just love the contrasting way that they've been able to capture so many different types of energies here. Beautiful sense of romance coming in here. Just two figures embracing one another, children embracing, even the squirrels here connecting in unity. So even here where we have a card that's asking you to face your fears, that's inviting you to work with your shadow self, you know, you're still being presented with an image, with colour, with texture, with layering that is so enchanting and so delicate and so light that I think it just feels like it's wrapping you up in kind of angel wings. Very protective deck, I feel. And then the third angel deck here, angel card, is Archangel Gabriel. Beautiful magic carpet ride happening here. All the swans taking flight. And even there's a figure kind of appearing in the clouds here. Perhaps a spirit guide or somebody looking down from spirit. So it gives me a nice connection into working with people's guides as well as my own. Each of the cards where they have this description, you know, are coloured slightly differently as well, just giving a nice contrast. This kind of staircase idea is featured on a few different cards actually, which I really like as well. I just feel it relates beautifully to our own spiritual journey and evolution. I particularly like this depiction of the lion. It reminds me of Aslan in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, if you're familiar with that particular series. But so radiant, like her dress made up of all these flowers here. That beautiful fire energy. If you like to work with animal spirit guide energy as well, it's just a lovely deck to be able to connect with. This is probably, of all of the cards, the one that, you know, is inviting you to connect with that more melancholy, kind of slightly disconnected energy. But even then, we have this beautiful kind of almost like knight in shining armor, and the beautiful radiant hues around the full moon, and almost this sword of truth that's right next to you to be able to cut through your fears, to cut through the heaviness, and move toward lighter energies. That's a nice card to end on. Good fortune, inviting the magic in. I definitely feel that this is a deck that brings good fortune, good energy, positivity. Just a beautifully soulful deck to work with. So the Mystical Wisdom Oracle deck by Gay Guthrie and Josephine Wall. And if you'd like to purchase this deck, you will find details of that in the description box underneath the video. So thanks for tuning in. I hope that's assisted you in just receiving a beautiful overview of this particular deck. And I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Bye for now.